are diving in today on the metabolic armor concept and why muscle is the most important organ you are skipping or ignoring after 35. My name is Joshua Haag. I'm the founder of Vybrant and Heroic Performance here in Los Angeles. This is the Live Vybrant Podcast YouTube channel and the Fountain of Youth kind of section to that. This is where we dissect or discuss major topics in sleep, exercise, nutrition, stress, and social engagement. So welcome back. I'm glad to have you. And hopefully in the next 15 to 20 minutes, I can help you kind of recalibrate where your headspace is at when it comes to understanding muscle as an organ and realistically what that means for your life ahead. All right, let's dive in. So you're training like you're 22, but your body just does not comprehend that anymore. And a lot of us, 30, 32, 35, 40, we start to see this trend happening or unfolding within our bodies, right? And this is a real problem. And when I dove into the data, you dive into the science, a lot of different things can start to be seen or trends, right? So 3 to 5% of muscle lost per decade. It starts at 30, right? 3 to 5%. And that's assuming though that you're not weightlifting, you're not eating properly, you're not focused on protein, all these good things. We'll get into that later. But the concept of you are losing muscle, we need to combat that with everything that we are. That is the most important thing to think about, right? Physical decline accelerates at 35. So 47-year-old Karolinska Institute longitudinal study documented progressive deterioration in aerobic capacity and muscle power across 6 decades. Right? Most people, they're in the gym, they're chasing aesthetics, they want a six-pack, they want all these wonderful things, not durability. And I see this time and time again when I'm meeting with clients, I'm talking with clients, and they just feel like they've lost their step. They feel fragile, they feel frail. You can see the way they're moving. They're afraid of their body. They're afraid that if they do something weird or in a weird way, they're going to hurt themselves. It's because of all of this, right? We then talk about this concept of sarcopenia. And it begins silently in your 30s. No pain, no warning, just slow erosion. And it's that loss of muscle mass, right? In the course of our lifetime, we're going to lose somewhere about 30% of mass, right? And that's when it comes to men. Women have a little bit of a different statistic, but I wanted to just phrase that, right? Or propose that. And so the result of all of this, right, is metabolic slowdown, rising chronic disease risk, and eventually a loss of independence. And when I'm working with my older clients, this is like 55, 60 and up, they come to me at a state of help me, I don't know what to do, I'm lost. Not let's tackle this and keep accelerating forward. I want to jump in at 30 or 35 with you and start to accelerate forward. That's the whole reason behind this, okay? So let's talk about where you actually are at. I wanted to give a little self-assessment, a little bit of kind of just metrics that different bodies, governing bodies put out there of just ways to calibrate whether or not you are successful right now or we need to start to step up a little bit. The first one is a grip strength test. Second one is a single leg balance. And the third one is what we consider recovery speed. Okay. So the first one, the grip strength test. I want you to find like a squishy ball or you can even just use a fist if you need to. And I want you to grip hard for 30 seconds. If you can't hold that or you start to fatigue your knuckle, right, that's a problem. Recent study, a Lancet study found that 139,000 people found every 5 kilograms drop in grip strength equals about 16% increase in all-cause mortality. And so there's this correlation between grip strength and the ability to stay strong creates a long-term life. Right? And we need to start to understand that we need to train grip just as much as we're training everything else, but grip is a signaler to an overarching theme of you are strong. Secondly, and this is a big one I see, and this is also in younger people, 35, 40, I train balance drills with everyone. You see that with eyes closed, one leg, 10 seconds, most people can't do it, but failure before 60 is associated with nearly 2 times risk of all-cause death within 7 years. So basically, can you stand there on one leg for 10 seconds? And if you can't, we have major issues at play, right? Lastly, recovery speed. More than 72 hours to feel normal after a hard session is a metabolic signal worth addressing. And what that means is your body is not actually processing the byproducts of all that hard work. right? Think of it like a nuclear power plant. You give it energy, it creates more energy, but then there's like nuclear byproduct, right? Your body, your muscles, they do the same thing. And if your metabolic system isn't operating efficiently, right, you have a recovery problem. Okay. And that could be sleep, that could be nutritional, that could be hormonal. There's a lot of different things that go into recovery, but it's just a signaler, right? And if you said yes to any of these, I want you to keep watching, think about those things, and realize that every single one of these is flexible. We just have to start taking action now. Okay. I think it's really important for you to understand that a lot of this stuff, when we start to talk about it, doesn't get thought about until 50 or 60, and it's too late. So this is hopefully catching some of you at a younger age thinking about longevity as it's becoming a hot topic and allowing you to kind of take control of your life going forward, right? So let's bring some awareness to this. Muscle is not just for lifting. Most people think it's just about being big and strong, good to go. It is your most important organ. Most important in my opinion, and from what studies say, but in my opinion, right? We talk skeletal muscle mass. That's a secretory endocrine organ that releases myokines during contraction. It regulates glucose and it suppresses inflammation for you. It sends signals to the brain, liver, and heart. Toning, the concept that we think about, is, I believe, and I put this in when I was creating kind of my data points and when I was researching, I believe it's the worst word in fitness, all right, after 35. Most people are like, I want to get toned. I want to get long and lean. No, chasing tone without understanding the concept of mechanical load means that you're just burning the barn to heat the house, meaning you're just lighting things on fire. And in turn, you're not actually growing the energy source, the muscle mass, the beef that's going to keep you healthy long-term, right? And when you can lose 3 to 8% of muscle mass per decade, that's going to equate by the time you're in your 60s to about 25% of total muscle mass gone. So if you're only lifting light weights, bare minimum, trying to tone, I don't want to get bulky, those kind of concepts, you need to understand that that's why those women in the 50s, 60s don't like the way they look, because realistically, you haven't kept the beef. The beef is leaving. And so there's this kind of like leaky bucket concept happening. So what you do now is going to build you in your 60s and 70s, right? The window is open, but it is not infinite. What's the solution? How do we figure this out? I wanted to give you kind of blanketed coaching, things to think about, things to just take to the bank today and lock it in, right? It's simpler than you think. Progressive overload is the concept we need to think about, right? And it puts basically heavier weight on you over time, right? It's progressive overload plus heavy compound lift. So compound lift is going to be multi-joint, squat, shoulder press, bench press, rowing, things like that. Lift heavy stuff. That comes from NSCA and ACSM. And they confirm, that's the training motherships, and they confirm that they are the primary driver of muscle synthesis after 40, right? Higher reps in lightweight, while it's important for conditioning and other metabolic systems, is not sufficient to get you strong and keep you built, right? It is a piece of the pie, but not the whole cake, right? When you target your protein, now, I did it in kilos here. I talk pounds elsewhere. It's 1.6 to 2 per kilogram of body weight. I teach for women, it's 0.8 to 1 gram, or for men, 1 to 1.25 gram per pound of body weight. You can do it at either conversion. ISSN, another mothership, recommends this for all exercising adults, 35 plus, right? So distribute evenly across 3 to 4 meals. And honestly, you're not eating that much. Okay, I'm 250. I have to eat 300 to 330 grams of protein a day. It's a lot. It's multiple shakes and stuff like that. So I get it. But for the 180-pound person, it's not that much, right? Lastly, you need to start to understand that recovery is a training variable. It is not just something you casually do. This is something just like you got to hit leg day, you got to hit arm day, you need to hit a recovery day, right? You need to maximize your sleep, maximize sleep efficiency, right? There's a coefficient there, a multiplier. And when we think about sleep and deload, right? That's when the adaptation actually happens. And most people miss that and just think it's this brush off thing. I'll skip my rest day. I'll just get some tennis in today. You are degrading yourself long-term, right? When we think about daily protein, I thought this statistic was cool and I made a little graphic with it. Daily protein by population, right? A sedentary adult is 0.8. Active adults is 1.2 to 1.5. Training 35 plus is 1.6 to 2. And that's theoretically what you should be taking in to keep the protein that you have. Now, I don't like the concept of different protein goals based off of your activity level. I believe it should be based off of your body weight, but I thought the statistic was cool. I thought it was just something to think about, right? So, what tool can I give you to really lock it in? And I wanted to give you a Metabolic Armor blueprint. And I use Metabolic Armor because a lot of people are starting to say this as like a coined phrase. And I think it's important to discuss long-term, right? We're trying to build you up for the long-term, protect you. I want to see 3 to 4 days of strength training, zone 2 cardio, 30 to 45 minutes, maybe 2 to 3 times a week. And then now secretly, if you're like an expert, a little bit of zone 4 in there as well. But realistically, then naturally hammering down your protein, right? The 3 to 4 days of strength, obviously that's going to build the powerhouse. It's going to build the engine. The layering of zone 2 cardio, it's at conversational pace, 20 to 30 minutes, 30 to 45 minutes, whatever you can do. You're looking more so for targeted time per week versus the daily. And you're looking for about 150 to 180 minutes. This is going to drive mitochondrial biogenesis and VO2 max, right? So it's two of the most important, powerful biological predictors. And it's basically your cellular health, and VO2 max is basically the rate at which you're breathing and processing carbon dioxide, processing O2, okay? And it's that conversion. All you need to know is it's important. We want to think simplicity, and we want to think long-term consistency. So I gave you a little schedule, just a mock-up of something to see, right? And so Monday, Wednesday, Friday is something I do with my clients. And then we say Tuesday and Saturday is going to be some zone 2 cardio. Great. You have off days, and it's active rest. It's stretching. It's recovery. It's focusing on your sleep, getting your supplementation down, locking in your nutrition on Thursdays and Sunday, right? Zone 2 heart rate target, keeping it in zone 2, like we had talked about. The goal long-term with this is we're thinking of 5x lower mortality rate over time. And that's what the statistics say, right? And so it's just fascinating. Just a little bit of consistency, a little bit of work creates long-term success. So what can you take home today? What can you lock down to really own it? We're going to add one heavy compound lift to your week, to your workouts, and then it's going to grow. So let's just say deadlift, or it's going to be shoulder press. That's the start of it, right? Heavy. We're going to hit our protein goal. Now I just put in here a blanket 1 gram of protein per pound. Women is 0.8 to 1, men 1 to 1.25, right? Track it, hit it every day. And then stop training for the mirror. That's the last kind of mental piece of this that I want to see you do, right? Start training for the marginal decade and decline that is inevitable. So we have to fight it, right? And when I say marginal decade, that is the last 10 years of functional years, right? The metabolic armor is meant for that. Do you want to be the person who can tie their shoe when they're 70? Do you want to be the person in a wheelchair? I've seen two very different types of people. I work with them both. That's why, right? It's because they didn't understand this early on. So, for those of you who don't know, my name is Josh. I'm the CEO of Vybrant. This is why we've built the Vybrant Longevity Blueprint. It's free. It's for you. All you've got to do is come over to join it. It's school.com/the fountain of youth. I've built blueprints in there. They're for you. There I have hormone training. I have mobility training. I have some back pain stuff. Everything in there is built for the person who's watching this, who knows they need to step up and doesn't know how to start. I wanted to be that for you. I wanted to step in and give you something to really just start to drive it home for yourself.